Randy,
Thomas.
how's it going? I'm here
Great.
with Randy Black, an incredible metal drummer, and not just metal, but all styles really, but focused on metal.
Yeah,
Right.
actually, yeah, that's true. Mhm.
And Randy lives here in Berlin, where we're shooting, but is originally Canadian.
That's right.
You're from Alberta, Edmonton, right?
Right. Good
Yes.
memory, man.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time there in Calgary, Alberta,
Okay, yeah.
Banff.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff there.
Do you know about the major rivalry between Calgary and Edmonton?
Do I know about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about it.
The ice hockey.
Yes.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Of course, yeah.
Oilers in Calgary.
Yes.
Oilers win every time.
But yes, they do. But beautiful place.
Mhm.
So what brought you here?
Well,
Love.
yeah.
Okay.
I was on tour in '94 with a Canadian metal band called Annihilator. And we played Berlin at the Marquee.
You annihilated Berlin.
Yes, we
Okay.
did. And I walked off stage, and
Boom.
there she was,
Okay.
just standing there. And long story short, we did 4 years long distance relationship. I was in Vancouver at the time.
Yeah.
Then I had the opportunity to teach in Berlin at the place called Drum Factory.
Okay.
So as soon as I had that, I quit the band I was in,
Right.
got my visa, and I moved here in November '98.
Wow.
So it's
been a long
it's
time.
almost 20 years.
Holy moly!
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
That's great.
It is.
But you've been keeping extremely busy.
yes.
Of course, recently with Wasp.
That
for
was the
example.
most recent major tour I
Exactly,
did.
yeah.
50 shows all across Europe. But since then, right now I'm kind of in between. I'm kind of looking for
Mm-hmm.
a new project.
Right.
But I still have my Dusk Machine.
Okay.
And
And that's based in Berlin.
it is, but our singer is in Florida and our bass player is in Vancouver, two ex-Annihilator guys.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of tough
And is
logistically
it
for us.
how many people is it in the band?
Four.
Okay.
So the guitar player
So
and
it's one
myself are here.
Okay,
yeah.
I see.
He's
Wow.
German.
Yeah.
So we don't do that much. It's more kind of like recording project.
Right, yeah.
So,
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you being a powerhouse of a drummer with an incredibly elaborate drum set, which I love.
Oh,
Yeah, I
thank you.
love the designs, the color matching of the pedals, and all the hardware and everything.
oh, hey,
Of
I'm
course.
surprised. Hey,
Oh, I'm
you checked it
stalking-
out.
I'm stalking you online. I'm a troll. So it looks incredible. I mean, really
Well, thank
awesome
you.
kids. So you're a total gear nerd. Obviously.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. I
Right.
did those pedals myself.
Oh, you did?
And you know what? I caused some trouble at the company.
Uh-oh.
Because suddenly all
People
the
wanted
drummers
to
were
say-
calling, like, where do we get those pedals?
Right. They look super slick. Super slick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now,
it's nice.
talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your setup
Hmm.
and about kick drum playing.
Okay.
How you approach double kick drum playing. You know, metal music in general, in terms of power and parts and stuff like that. Let's nerd out a little bit.
Sure. Okay.
So, give me a rundown of your kit from left to right, drum wise.
Okay. Well, left to right.
Yeah.
Or can I just do it kind of?
Yeah. Do it.
Okay. I got
free
my.
form it.
I got two 22-inch kicks.
Yeah.
12, 13, 14, 16, 18.
Yeah.
Two hats, they're the same sizes, 14s.
Right.
Two rides, they're the same size. 17, 18, 19, 20-inch crashes.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Genau. And genau.
Genau.
Two 19-inch Paragon Chinas.
Okay.
Then I got a Holy China over here. And depending on the gig and stuff, I might have a couple of splashes or a
Okay.
couple of effects.
But that's
and
a
on
big
the left,
kit.
yeah, and on the left, sometimes I mess with some clave stuff with either like an effect cymbal or a cowbell or something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Not with metal gigs, obviously, because I
Right.
would get kicked out the
You're
door.
not going to work in the
instantly.
2/3 clave into your metal song?
Actually, I did.
Oh, you did?
I did, and it made it on one of the Hudson. I don't know.
DVDs? Yeah.
The Together chops, whatever, with a lot of great heroes of mine.
Right.
But it was one song from Dusk Machine where, because it is my project
Yeah.
or our project, we can do what we want.
Right.
So I worked in a 2/3 rumba clave
Right.
in a metal song.
That's cool.
And it made it on this chops disc, and
That's
I was
super
like,
cool.
wow, it was amazing. So
Exactly.
yeah, so that's my setup.
Right. That's
And-
cool.
Mhm.
Now, what turned you on to double kick drums? Was it the music, or was it the drumming itself, and who was your first like double kick, like, the hero?
Great question, because I never really had a lot of big double kick heroes. My hero, well, okay, Keith Moon.
Okay.
A hero of mine was Neil Peart, Carmine Appice.
Yeah.
Appice. Tommy Aldridge.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Great. But I'd never considered myself a double bass player till I joined Annihilator.
Oh really?
That's when I really knew what it was to play double bass.
Right.
All these broken up patterns and high tempos, and it was like I
Right.
had my work cut out for me. I replaced Mike Mangini on the gig
Yeah.
in '93, Set the World on Fire. And I got the rehearsal tape. I didn't know much about the band at all.
Right.
And I heard this stuff and I was like, wow, this is a challenge.
Right.
So I went from being like this Rush cover band, The Who, Queen,
Right.
drummer to playing metal. And it was totally new to me,
Different,
basically.
okay.
I had to work on my feet a lot.
And how did you do it? What did you practice? Just the music at first, Annihilator's music, or did you, check out like instructional books or anything like that?
There
or?
was not much of that around then.
Right,
So what I
exactly,
did, I just listened to the records, and me and the main guy, Jeff Waters, before any band rehearsals, we sat in a room together, and this guy, he's an amazing rhythm player, and his ear is amazing. We sat together and worked out all the parts for 2 weeks before the band came in,
Oh, okay.
and really detailed stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this guy's ear was like, in the third bar, your left kick on the last beat is a little behind.
Right, okay.
So, move that
Yeah.
up. And I have to admit, he was right. So
Yeah.
that really got me into double bass playing.
Okay.
And so I never really had any of those here because I was just in Annihilator and I
Yeah.
had to learn how to play this stuff. But our first tour across Canada, they were just blasting Slayer every day,
Oh, okay.
Rain and Blood. And so I was just getting into it after
Right,
I joined
okay.
Annihilator.
Oh, I see.
So I was never really a metal guy
Okay.
before I joined that band.
But now you are.
For the last 20-some
Yeah,
years, I've been
wow.
playing a lot of metal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that is that cool with you? That kind of image, or being kind of considered a metal guy specifically?
Yine.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, because I've been into other drummers as well, just
Right.
different styles and stuff. So, I mean, it's done me well. I've toured all over the world. I've done a lot of great things, but I like a lot of other music
Yeah.
too. So now that I have more time to practice and stuff, I'm practicing different things and playing different kind of songs.
Right.
So
Do you get
that
to
are not metal.
Do you get to practice every day, or do you try to?
I try to make it to my room minimum 3 times a week, minimum,
Okay. Yeah.
and often more.
Right. That's cool.
I do it gym,
Right.
practice
Practice.
at the studio.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
Wow, that's really cool. And when you go, how long do you get? Maybe a couple hours, 3 hours, 4 hours?
It depends
Right,
what I'm
okay.
working on, but minimum 3 I'm there, minimum.
Do you work on what's the stuff you work on right now? Feet also, or
Depends on the thing.
parts, or
If it's just for me practice,
Yeah.
I practice stuff that I don't know, obviously. I'm
Right.
learning new things.
Mhm.
But one thing that's a mainstay, because I'm in the metal thing,
Right.
I do an hour and a half
Stamina.
minimum of just double bass stuff.
Right, sure.
Starting with singles, doubles, inverted doubles,
Right, yeah.
and just work up from the metronome from
Okay.
here to here
Mhm.
to the maximum. And by the end, like you,
You're soaked.
I'm soaked.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly,
soaked.
yeah.
So that's a mainstay. But if I'm working on a gig or a tour, I'm just focused on the
On the
music.
music, yeah, right.
And learning all that, just
Right.
going through the set over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have a whole full kit set up? The same kind of configuration you just
Yeah, that's where I
mentioned?
practice.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's my practice room, and luckily there we can practice 24/7, daylight, windows open.
Oh,
So
great.
It's nice.
Wow.
It's a cool
That's
situation.
a luxury.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And I also have an electric kit at home. If I don't want to go there, I
Right,
can
sure.
practice at
Yeah,
home.
that's handy.
Mhm.
Wow, very cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, when you work, say, on practicing like that hour and a half of stamina, double bass drum stuff, you mentioned singles, doubles, inverted doubles. Do you get into like stickings with the feet, like mixed sticking stuff, like paradiddles and
Yes.
things like that? Oh,
Also,
cool.
yeah. Actually, I have to say, you inspired me a couple of clinics ago at Drumtrainer. It's probably
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago. You were doing paradiddles and triple paradiddles and
Yeah.
stuff. And I was doing single paradiddles at the
Right.
time, and then I was, I got to try some of that stuff you
Right,
were
yeah.
doing.
Okay.
So I am doing all that in the
Yeah.
workout. Not that I'll ever use it in a lot of the gigs,
Right.
but clinic situations,
Oh, sure.
it's a goal to use it there.
Exactly.
And then with the cowbell
and
pedal or
everything.
something,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
makes for
It's
some very nice,
some-
interesting
it's
rhythms.
Really
for
interesting
sure.
patterns. Exactly. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, so I'm working that into.
That's awesome. Well, I got to come and visit you in your room sometime.
Well, no, not
Yeah.
after seeing you play today. I'm
Oh,
like,
come on.
man. Maybe some other time. Let me warm up for like 6 hours or
Oh,
something.
come on. So, I live in Los Angeles, as you know. Do you do a lot of touring in the States, and do you come by sometimes?
I did. I mean, I was also on tour fairly recently with a legendary German thrash metal band, Destruction.
Oh, yeah.
And we were opening for Sepultura all across the U.S. and
Yes,
Canada.
cool.
And with Wasp, we didn't. We only played Europe.
Oh, I see.
So, but I go to the NAMM show.
Oh, okay.
I
Great.
try to make it every year.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, I think the next trip will be the NAMM show.
Right.
for
Okay,
me.
cool. Well, then I'll see you
Regarding-
there. That's awesome.
Mhm.
You have to hang out again. Now, I want to know one more thing.
Sure.
You know, in terms of metal drummers today, who do you dig? Who are the kind of metal guys? Maybe younger generation metal guys, or all generations? Like, are you like an old school metal? Like, do you like Dave Lombardo and that kind of old school fast but also loud metal? Not like super crazy speeds, but powerful. Double kick stuff. Or are you more into like super extreme like George Colliers, Nile, or that kind of thing?
Actually, I'm not into that. But it's funny you mentioned, because I did a couple of clinic things with George, and I watched him play, and he's like doing 260 or 280 clean 16ths and his feet are, and I sat on his kit, and I tried to play his pedals. I couldn't. If I had to play a gig sudden, I would be like, oh, it can't happen.
Yeah, they're really
tight.
They're really tight.
And he has extra stiff springs put on.
Yeah.
So I respect it, but I can't. It's not my music.
Right.
So I'm more old school.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, I wouldn't say he's new, but more recently, I did an interview with Thomas Haka,
Oh, yeah.
and I thought that was really cool. I toured a couple times with Motorhead,
Okay.
and I watch Mickey D
Mickey,
quite
yeah.
often on every night, and
Yeah.
I thought he's a great old school drummer. So I would say it's more kind of old school
Right,
metal
yeah,
that I like,
yeah.
where you're using full leg.
Oh, yeah, and full power and volume. Exactly.
And unfortunately with that, there's a maximum, I think.
yeah.
210, 220, something like
Yeah.
that. Anything above is a total different
Oh, yeah,
technique that
exactly, yeah.
I think I'm too old to
Right.
dig into that. It's
Right.
like, I don't want to put in the years that it's going to take to get to those speeds.
Right, yeah.
So I'm more kind of old school.
Yeah, that's
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah, I know, I understand. Me too. I like, fast, but also loud, and that power. And George, he does actually have a lot of power,
Okay,
too, at
yeah.
those speeds, surprisingly.
Mhm.
But, yeah,
I got a question for
Yeah.
you after watching your thing tonight. Besides the amazing chops and grooves you were doing, one thing that struck me was how clean all the hits are. So I was just wondering, is this something that kind of came natural just with your practicing, or did you really concentrate on being,
Yeah.
all the notes really nice and clean?
absolutely.
Yeah?
It was, for me, always, precision was a total goal. If it wasn't executed well, then it wasn't really it for
Right.
me. Because it's like penmanship, Seriously, it's if somebody
Do you have
has,
good? Do you?
I
You
think I
probably
do.
do, right?
I think I
Oh
do.
man, I've got
No,
chicken scratch.
if you sort of express something, in handwriting, and it's scribbled in a illegible way, you're like, what does this mean? And it's a bit like that with playing. When I'm playing something, I want every note to speak and be understood very clearly, and I think it gets the point across better.
Yeah, that's true.
And people understand what you're saying, especially if it's complex. And they can hear all the pronounced notes, and every note has its space. Then it speaks a lot more clearly. And it was a very deliberate, long process of practicing precision.
Yeah.
And subdivisions and
Yeah, okay.
and layers of rhythms and really focusing and recording myself and listening back to it and always working with metronomes and so on. That to me is a very important thing. If it's not clean, I don't like it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I can dig sloppy drumming, if it's done deliberately.
Yeah.
I like,
I know
playing between the cracks and deliberately sloppy kind of beats and stuff like that. I love all that. But I don't like it when it's not deliberate. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's
So-
very obvious. You've done, I
Right.
mean, it's obvious you've done your homework.
I did, yeah. Well, thank
Wow,
you.
Very clean.
It's just my OCD, I guess, that I want it to be clean and clear. And I also think the drums sound better. Everything sounds better
Yeah,
if
yeah.
everything has its dedicated space, then every instrument it just projects better and faster beats and everything translate much better and you can really hear clean
Yeah.
execution. It's a cool thing and it's a very I think it's a result of trying to transcribe a lot of stuff from records.
Okay.
I always hated when I was listening to it and I wanted to transcribe a film. I had to slow down the LPs,
Okay.
to hear every note. And if I couldn't identify what the person was playing, I'm like, what is this? What is it supposed to be? And I was always frustrated trying to identify kind of sloppy things. And I wanted to make the point to not ever cause anybody that problem, that whatever I played is very, very clear, and people go, oh yeah, that's this 30-second note, or that's a whatever triplet. So, yeah.
And did that come naturally to want that, or were you inspired by another drummer that was similar that way?
I think, I was a Big Buddy Rich fan. He was very clean. Tony Williams, who was super clean. Billy Cobham, marching drumming. That is all about clean execution. And Billy Cobham's,
Top secret.
Oh, absolutely top. They're incredible. And nice hats, too.
Yeah.
And so it was all about clean execution and also listening to a lot of electronic music and programmed music. That everything was super clean and that kind of turned me on, as well. It's a combination of those things.
And another question I have, I'm always curious. You asked me about practice and stuff. How much time do you get to sit on your kit and work out stuff these days? Because you're one busy mofo.
I am, and it's very little or nothing.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I love practicing. I'd love to be able to spend more time doing it, but as you know, I'm super busy. I travel a lot. I have so many other things going on all the time.
So, do you notice it in your...
Of course, it's noticeable. I try to keep it up. I do a lot of things that are drumming related and maybe drum festivals or clinics and stuff like that whenever I can and can fit it in somehow. So I get to play the more complex stuff. And when you do it, you kind of keep it at a certain level of control. But it's not like practicing. So of course I feel a big difference. If I have time to practice and I'm at home for a few months and I get to practice every day, I feel 1,000 times better. Everything is just,
that much cleaner.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. And it feels great, and I love it, and I'm trying to make time to practice, but then something comes up, and, practice time. So I try to mentally run through things, but actual physical practice time, really none.
Okay.
I try to, if I'm at home and I have an hour or so, and nothing else to do, then first thing I want to do and I will do is go practice.
Okay. Yeah. And then I would like to return the question you asked me. Is there anyone these days, doesn't matter what genre, that's catching your eye, drummer-wise?
Many people. I like all the great. I like Gergo Borla. I like Matt Garscar. I like Mike Mitchell. I like Chris Coleman. I like. Pretty much anybody that everybody else likes too.
Okay.
I get inspired by everybody, by very simple drummers and really just band drummers that have a unique sound, a feel, and like super hardcore chop guys and jazz drummers and everything across the board. I get inspired by everybody. Gergo, I think, is a fantastic drummer, Gergo Borlai. There's so many great players out there today. That are doing some interesting things and they have a lot of personality in their playing. And I think there's all so much stuff that's all the same in metal.
This is important. The
and in gospel
personality thing
chops.
is,
Exactly. So as soon as I see somebody with personality, I dig it. There's so much of the same noodling that I find very boring. both in metal and in gospel.
Yeah, yeah.
Not in other styles of music, but in those two styles, extreme, because everybody copies everybody else. But then there's a few people who stand out, who have a personality and a great spirit when they play, and that's what I love.
Yeah. Vibe.
Vibe, exactly.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Thomas.
Randy, that was awesome.
Great.
And
Enjoyed it a lot.
I'll see you in LA.
All right. Cool. Ciao. Drumtrainer out.